Hi, this is Dawn here for Soul Streams Audio to just do a little freestyling on the topic of suppression, oppression, depression, and repression. So let's talk a little bit about this. First of all, I want to point out that the root of all of these words is press. Press. So what do you think of when you think of press? To be pressed. To be pressed.
In 3.4 miles, turn left onto Highway 9.
Okay, I don't know how to turn the directions off, so I'll just keep talking. I think first of like a wine press, the juice being squeezed out. I also think of to be the old word in the South for ironing. You would talk about pressing something. I remember my grandmother saying that word. So it's sort of this idea of making it perfect, getting the wrinkles out. I also think of being, squeezed or being pinched or somehow compacted. And so that's the root word of all of these four words: suppression, oppression, depression, repression. So let's look at each one. So suppression. When you suppress something, you are pushing it down, pushing it under, keeping it hidden, pretending it's not there, keeping it quiet. And when you are being oppressed, or when you are being oppressive to someone else, again, there's this idea of pushing it away. And so suppression and oppression, repression, depression, again, pushing it down, pushing it under. Depression is often anger unexpressed, rage unexpressed, sadness unexpressed. And then repression is literally to hold someone back. To repress something is to refuse to express it. So notice how each one of these is a denial of expression. It's a denial of life. Life is an acronym I use for living in full expression. So when you are suppressing something, oppressing something, repressing something, or feeling depressed or depressing, adding depression to something, you are essentially denying the natural flow of things, not allowing what is to be. For some reason, you are judging what exists and not allowing it to be expressed in your life. Not allowing there to be an impression or an expression, but rather diverting that flow, the natural flow, and take. Essentially, it's an effort to control the natural flow and not allow it to stem the tide of what you're feeling, because you somehow are judging it as inappropriate or otherwise unwanted or not valid. Perhaps you don't think you're worthy of expression. You're not allowed to have your own impressions. And so therefore, you repress yourself. You suppress what is. And you become a jailer to yourself.
In half a mile, turn left onto.
So I want to talk to you about the fact that you can be experiencing these things: suppression, oppression, depression, repression, both from yourself as the one who is engaging in these actions that result in this experience for yourself, or you could be experiencing this as coming at you from some external source. And yet anything that's happening in your external world is in some way a reflection of either an inner perception, an inner way of seeing the world, or your inner experience simply being projected outwards and brought to you, mirrored to you, so that you can see yourself more clearly. So one of the things to do is immediately when you are experiencing suppression, oppression, repression, depression, is to really consider for yourself what is this experience showing me about the experience, the deeper inward experience of my soul, and how can I free my soul and allow myself to embrace a whole new way of seeing myself, a whole new way of being myself, and a whole new way of freeing myself in this experience I'm having. So, in other words, how can I seek to embody my own freedom and wholeness? How can I, in this moment, free myself, essentially? And sometimes that might look like allowing the expression of whatever is you, yourself, or someone else is feeling a need to keep unexpressed, to keep you in line, keep you in a box, keep you following the rules. So consider that the next time you experience one of these things. Another thing that you can do is ask, that mirror of what your experience is, what you're happening, to lead you to another time in your life when you have experienced something similar. Often this will take you immediately to a feeling in your body or heart. It could be a memory as well, but often you'll feel it in your body, and then that will lead you to an experience. The physical feelings that you're having will lead you back to an experience, usually in childhood. Could be a past life. It could be something you saw projected on a screen, on a TV show or a movie. It could also be something you saw played out more on the global stage, or in your external world, external reality that's not necessarily in and of you. Most commonly, though, it is associated with a similar experience or feeling state or physical state you had in an earlier time in your life. So once you identify that, then you can do some healing around that by asking yourself, at that time, what did I feel was being suppressed, repressed, oppressed? How was I depressed? How was I experiencing oppression, suppression, depression, repression? And what could I do now to see this experience through different eyes, and to allow myself, whatever that experience was, to make a different choice in this present circumstance? The first choice you might choose to make is to see that this is not identical, because you are not, say you were 4 when whatever happened earlier in your childhood. You have a lot more freedom and choices, and you may you have more knowledge and more wisdom, and so you may be able to choose, make a different choice, and to choose again, and to choose an experience. Now that might be that you allow yourself to express your feelings or thoughts in a certain circumstance, either with another individual, with a group, or with yourself. It usually begins with yourself, you expressing truth to you. That's where it all starts. It also could be that as you identify the earlier experience and you see the parallels, that you begin to relax, because you realize you actually are reacting based out of either body memory or simply out of this conditioning, this expectation that you have, where you have linked two things that do not need to be linked any longer. So perhaps you linked a particular set of circumstances to the body experience you had as a child, or the resulting experience of repression, oppression, suppression that occurred because you felt trapped, or you felt you could not. You did not have the freedom to choose to express, or to even feel, or even validate your own reality. So that's the opportunity. That's the place to start. Further, you might want to take each of these words, suppression, oppression, depression, repression, and just do a little bit of solescence art doodling, seed doodling, or journaling around these words and the feelings that come up when you even hear the words or think of the words. And maybe try to find an image of how that feels to you. How does suppression feel? How does repression feel? How does oppression feel? And then how does depression feel? And if you can draw that with color and line and shape and form, or write a piece of prose or a poem that allows you to express what it is that you associate with those experiences, you will notice that you are more quickly able to discern when you feel them coming on, and you are able to identify more easily the feelings, again, in your body, the thoughts, what comes up, what arises, and those will be clues to you that something is not being expressed, or that you somehow are denying life or the flow of what wants to come forth and what wants to happen. So I hope this little quick audio has been helpful, just exploring those four words and those energetic experiences that can be clues that we are somehow off track and are not allowing what is to be. We are not accepting the flow of life and not allowing ourselves to be fully present here and now, and to make choices from that space of the now moment, and to really live into something greater, and to move toward expansion rather than contraction, and then to live fully in full expression without any limitation on ourselves, at least not any false limitation that is based on conditioning, programming, and otherwise false whether it be thought forms or constructs or belief systems that we've become accustomed to. So I hope this is supportive of you, and may you really experience freedom and joy in the moment as you are now. See you later.